I have here something very special from my good friend Jason Packard. I feel the need for Muh Toys from the Muh Toys Group on Facebook. He's a huge fan of Night Force and especially the Night Force Boomer, and coined the new identity of the Ace figure being Captain Bob Serum. He created an entire fan fiction file card for him, which I've shown you all before, and a brand new figure, not really a brand new figure, but a new fan fiction character, Gambler. This is Gambler. This figure is incredibly rare. It was only released at the 1994 GI Joe Collector Con. And this figure, good luck finding one. I would love to have one. He has a custom figure made. He's working on getting a couple more, but they're, like I said, they're very difficult to find. So this package here is for the Gambler figure. Now that was, of course, a repaint of another figure that came out. My scissors are just not cutting it. Let's see if we can get this opened up here with the trusty X-Acto knife. Nah, come on. I know the scissors will get it, and I need to clean them off. That's the problem. I've been cutting too much tape with my scissors. There, finally got it, yeah. Okay, so what all do we have here inside the bag? A lot of space, but, ooh, we have the file card as a magnet. And a Muh Toys pin. Oh, and then there's another little package in there as well. And this has the, I'm assuming, the cover letter. Mr. Packard does send out cover letters. Do you like this? Do you like this, how the bubble mailer is printed with the Muh Toys scene here with the Night Boomer, the OK Night Boomer, the Bob Serum, and the Gambler figures on a runway there. I like that. I think it's a really nice detail that's been added here. So, from Mr. Jason Packard, my friend. I'll get this opened up and we'll take a first-person look at the contents. Here we have a wonderful cover letter on some of the best paper stock available. Winter 2022, from the desk of Jason Packard. Dear G.I. Joe fan, thank you for taking part in the recent product offering, the Gambler File Card. 1994 was a tumultuous year for G.I. Joe. The 82 to 94 vintage line was coming to its conclusion. And as the Extreme era continued on, this was also the first annual G.I. Joe convention hosted on board the USS Intrepid. This show featured the first Hasbro-produced convention-exclusive figure, quote-unquote, fighter pilot, a solid black recolor of the action pilot with added G.I. Joe stripes on the sleeves and inseams. This exclusive figure was color modeled after the G.I. Joe skydiving team on tour throughout the United States, limited to only 650 produced, only for show attendees. He is widely regarded by experts to be the rarest and hardest figure of the entire line, the hardest being the hardest to obtain. The 94 convention fighter pilot also has the distinction of being the only G.I. Joe figure that did not have a file card. Even Nitro Viper eventually had one written, which I've shown that I actually made one of those as well for the clamshell cases, a Nitro Viper card back, and that was only available as an insert to a magazine. Once again, I brushed up on my writing and put myself in the place of Larry Hama in the same style of the Captain Bob Serum file card. I think it is very close to what Larry would have done. Fighter Pilot never had a real code name. I followed the structure of the G.I. Joe Tomcat crew having playing card related names: Ace, Blackjack, Joker, etc. Carefully crafting a backstory of what developed and brought him to G.I. Joe. I felt the team was best served with their first veteran pilot from the USMC rather than the Air Force. In the time period he would have been flying in combat, I added the qualification on the F-4S Phantom II, which was commonly flown up until its replacement in the early 90s by the FA-18. There are many Easter eggs in this card, some more obvious than others. The man's serial number, also his social security number. Prefix is what would have been assigned to citizens born in Florida in 1956 to 1957. His birthplace was a newly established town located nearby, Packard Air Force Base, where he would have seen F-4s and F-105s soaring overhead as a boy. The file name anagram was the most involving decision. I wanted to pick someone who worked at Hasbro that had never had his name discreetly inserted into the product line, but many had already been used. In the end, I settled on a very prolific designer who was responsible for well over 36 figures that we know and love from 1987 to 1989. He was the Rudat of the middle years. If you love the characters Super Trooper, Alley Viper, Sneak Peek, Spearhead, Hit and Run, Scoop, Iron Grenadiers, to name a few, then you'll appreciate this man. It's fitting that he finally gets his name on a real G.I. Joe, just as the last figure from the vintage line finally gets his file card and backstory as Night Force Wave 2 and Captain Bob's co-pilot. Thank you, Jason Packard, HOF20, and has his signature down here at the bottom. Now, if you look on the back of the cover letter, you also see the G.I. Joe Skydiving Team Tour advertisement here with all of these pilots: Zap, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Duke, Demolitions Expert, and this has specialties down there as portraying those characters. But it's a really, really cool thing that I wish that I could have seen. I never even knew that this was happening. And then you have the original box that the 1994 convention exclusive fighter pilot came in, and it's a box modeled after the 1964 30th anniversary. Was the 30th salute was a big deal in 1994. It was huge all across the toy line. But it came in a box that's reminiscent of the coffin boxes that the 12-inch figures used to come in. Again, printed on a high-quality, heavy stock. For official use only, Department of the Navy, Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff for Aviation, M94, 1994, Marine Corps, Pentagon, Washington, D.C., 20310-1994. NF, Night Force CPLT co-pilot 94. 2, Captain Bob Serum, Night Force Unit Commander. CC, Lieutenant Vincent Falcone, General Clayton Abernathy. Subject, transfer of new RIO co-pilot for G.I. Joe Special Aviation Unit. 1, request for an experienced combat radar interceptor officer will be fulfilled. 2, direction. Effective September 1st, 1989, Lieutenant Mark, I cannot say this as his last name. It's Pennington. It's an anagram of Pennington. Notgenep, I guess. Mark Notgenep. Yeah, whatever. I can't pronounce it. Previous call sign, fighter pilot, will be transferred to G.I. Joe for active duty. Qualification, Lieutenant Notgenep has been flying with the VMF 134 Marine Fighter Squadron and is experienced on the F-4 Phantom II and EA-6 Prowler. He awaits his airframe assignment and new code name, Charles Pittman Sr. Charles H. Pittman, Deputy Chief of Staff for Aviation, United States Marine Corps. End. Memo by Jason Packard. And you have nothing on the back of that except just that beautiful cardstock. Next, let's get into the file card. So I actually had one made on chipboard. This is very thick, heavy duty, and it is the magnet that is attached to this chipboard. Let's give a read over of the file card here. Codename Gambler, ROI Radar Intercept Operator, Night Force. File name Not Gnep Mark. Serial number 26256 1994. Primary military specialty Radar Intercept Officer. I said operator earlier, didn't I? Secondary military specialty Demonstration Skydiver. Birthplace Satellite Beach, Florida. Grade 02, First Lieutenant USMC. Gambler always carries a deck of cards on him. Ever since he was a teenager, he read that players at the table like he reads his radar scope. He reads other players at the table like he reads his radar scope. Distinguished himself flying with the VMF-134 Marine Fighter Squadron in Libya, where he was just as good splashing MiGs with radar-guided missiles as he was hitting ground targets with guided bombs, even in the darkness of night. Qualified expert F-4S Phantom II, XP-14F Sky Striker / Night Boomer. Some people think backseaters have it easy, but the reality is RIOs are responsible for coordinating all mission phases. In addition to manning the radar, they also operate weapons systems and even fly the aircraft, all while scanning the sky for threats. Gambler was excited about his new assignment to the G.I. Joe Night Force, but when he saw his pilot was the Captain Bob Serum, the quiet man who blew his blackjack win streak the day before, he was speechless. They became an inseparable team. When the stakes are high, they always double down. And then you have, of course, the G.I. Joe and Night Force logos down here under his portrait photo, and you have the magnets. This is such a neat little thing that he's putting out here. And if you have seen any of my other videos, or if you have obtained any of the items that Mr. Packard releases, you'll know that these are all very high quality and that a lot of work goes into their creation. It's all purely fan fiction, and it's some of the best fan fiction out there, in my opinion. Mr. Packard would do well to write a comic book, I think, something along those lines. Thanks for joining in while I open up this package from Mr. Packard. Any fan of G.I. Joe from 82 to 1994 can appreciate the fan fiction that goes into this, all of the hard work and thought that he put into creating this character. Even if you don't have this figure and you're a Night Force fan, this is a must-have piece. There's only 100 of these. He only made 100 of them, and most are already sold out. Check out the links in the description and join Muh Toys to get your very own. I think that he's actually making these available across some other groups as well, but that is the place to get them. That is the place to contact Mr. Packard and obtain your very own file card as well. Not to mention all the challenge coins that Mr. Packard releases. All right, be sure to hit that subscribe button, the like button, comment, share. Let's talk G.I. Joe, and hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post new videos. So, until we meet again, Yo Joe.